In the regular season, TSM with a lead is just devastating. They're so good at closing out games here, so definitely the priority for Samsung is to get a draft that allows them to be competitive in the early game.
And you're seeing the bans here. Syndra is gone from Bjergsen, Lee Sin is gone from Svenskeren, no Deadly for Ambition.
And the only other thing they'd have to ban would be the Kennen, and they would have taken out both solo laners as well as the jungler the TSM ran against Samsung in that victory last week.
Yeah, definitely a really good approach, banning out certain comfort picks. Obviously, we're all frowning a little bit at the Zyra here, aimed at, I guess, CoreJJ on that support role, just a heavy poke supports.
That's interesting. I mean, I do love Zyra support. I think she's very good. It just feels very strange to see that when we haven't seen her play so far at Worlds.
Yeah, this has to be some type of inside knowledge from TSM in scrims. You'd have to wonder, maybe they played it against them super early in the bootcamp before they're drawn in the same group.
Very early, or maybe he's just been spamming it in solo queue, you know, it's very likely. It's also support that does extremely well in the solo queue environment, so if you can ban it out, it looks so good when people start smashing with it, and people are just not used to playing against it. It's a very different lane pattern than most conventional supports.
And I gotta say, I love teams that do bring out the new things. You know, the Aurelion Soul ban, CuVee brought it out of MSI last year, and no one had played against a champion before. Earlier this year, I should say. The Zyra, again, can be something like that. But let's move on to the picks we actually do have, with a Karma flex pick in for TSM, as well as the Olaf jungle for Svenskeren.
Yeah, and with Elise Sin banned away, you wonder what the second jungler is going to be. Some people prefer the Elise. Here, because they can synergize the Olaf with the Karma for the move speed, they have that.
Maybe because they're also looking forward with Samsung Galaxy and the Olaf right there, and you're already building your composition ahead.
Yeah, I do think the Jhin first pick is very interesting. TSM seemed to prioritize the Jhin above all other AD carries last week, so I think Samsung recognizes that and took it away.
But were they as successful? I feel like there was definitely holes in DoubleLift's Jhin play that he could patch up with a more utility-oriented AD carry and let other people on his team shine.
Sure, I agree. I think there's been definite criticism about DoubleLift's Jhin in particular, but there's always the thought of, if it fits the composition, even if you're only 80% good at the champion, it's still the right choice. That seems to be what TSM thought about it, and we'll see how well that actually works out. It's time for their turn to pick a few more champions as they're up against a RekSai and a Viktor.
And if we're looking at lane pressure here, the early lock-in with the Viktor does mean that you're going to yield the lane from 1 to 6 here. Viktor has an incredibly weak early laning phase, and we could look for a counter pick later on from Bjergsen to really punish that.
Yeah, that's the question. Crown did get his Viktor, though, was by far and away his most played champion, and his most successful champion at Worlds as well. The game he had against Splice in the first week was exceptional. And I like that DoubleLift is going back towards Lucian, actually, only because that was far and away his most played in the regular season. And they've had a little bit of trouble, I'd say, in the laning phase to be able to pick them on very comfortable champions. Karma, Biofrost most played, Lucian, DoubleLift most played in this critical game is very important.
And we have seen, especially from yesterday's results, that just winning lanes can be enough to win you the game if you can push it through. TSM, one of the very best teams here at Worlds of transitioning a laning phase win into closing games out. They are quick winners if they get ahead.
Yeah, but if I'm mentioning TSM's comfort picks, I have to mention Samsung's comfort picks. CuVee loves playing mages top lane. I'd say Kennen and Rumble are his top 2. The top 1 for Crown is Viktor, and even CoreJJ's best champion may even be Tahm Kench. So Samsung also getting a lot of comfort picks.
Yeah, interested to see how that Rumble matchup into the Kennen plays out, because Rumble has a very pushy nature in the lane, but Kennen can definitely punish that, especially when Olaf starts ghosting in the lane. Lingering around the lane, that could be TSM trying to enable Hauntzer.
Yeah, I think top lane can be very volatile in TSM's favor. Hauntzer is a fallback pattern. I feel like he will generally be able to survive Rumble and RekSai together, but if you get up on this Rumble, he doesn't have a lot of ways out, and I can see TSM snowballing top lane instead of bot lane if they wanted to.
And they also have the potential to chain some CC with the Kennen and Zilean. Bjergsen is one of the best Zileans I've seen.
Yep.
He was undefeated on it in the regular season. It is one of the picks that TSM kind of has in their deep pockets, and they use it as a counter pick fairly often.
But the composition kind of tells you already what they want to do. They want to just put some bombs on the Svenskeren, send him into deep, have him assassinate either the Jhin or the Viktor, who are incredibly low mobility champions. Only one of them can be devoured by the Tahm Kench, and then if Olaf goes too deep, it's a very simple revive that makes it very stat efficient, because he's the one that's going to be building tank and relying on his base damages over and over to take down these low mobility carries.
Yeah, overall, a ton of haste on TSM. Get the frontliners in there. The Kennen, a great recipient of the movement speed as well, and now going to see how well they can do on the Rift. And it's time for you guys at home to also throw your support behind the team of your choice on Twitter. The fans, the audience have been cheering for TSM, but if you want to let us know who it's going to be online, it's hashtag SSG win or hashtag TSM win for the Koreans of Samsung Galaxy, or the North American squad of TSM here in San Francisco, cheering on their home team. But here we go. Day 7 of Worlds begins now as Samsung Galaxy takes on TSM.
Krepo, I loved your point about hasting in the Olaf in this game. As is customary in TSM games, in the USA, they get the chant. A lot of this early game will hinge, though, on whether or not Svenskeren can get some items early, because being able to revive an Olaf with 3,000 health is much more valuable than an Olaf that's behind it dying right away.
He is the pivotal piece in this composition, but if we look at week 1, for me, he was also a standout player. He went above and beyond in his Lee Sin performances. He really understands jungler right now, especially in a standalone meta. TSM as a team seem to be very unified in their approach, especially when it comes to counter jungling.
Yeah, and so many of these games have been decided by who has the pushing lanes. Oftentimes, if you can get 2 out of your 3 lanes pushing, that's enough. Here, though, TSM is most likely going to have a push-a-bull lane in the top lane and the bottom side. Mid lane, though, is going to be pretty difficult to push in a Viktor, so it'll be interesting. It's much harder to capitalize on having your top and bottom lane pushing rather than mid and another lane.
And this is Samsung. To get early control of the lane, they need control of that second brush, and that is exactly why TSM is defending that. Because in a vacuum, Lucian Karma will always win the push. The mid lane matchup is quite fascinating because Viktor, while he can hit all the creeps at once, is quite poor at trading unless he can spam Q trades, but then he obviously has access to laser later. Early levels, Viktor has one of the weakest pushes in the game, but once you hit, obviously, that augmented hex score upgrade and you go further into the game, Viktor can just one-shot waves.
The first back for Viktor is incredibly important. You need at least 1,250 gold in order to upgrade your hex score first. Then you can get to level 7 and start clearing the minion wave with 1 spell. And up until that point, it's really all about being elusive for these guys because their trade spell is the same as their wave clear spell. So it's a choice of whether you want to harass or shove the lane.
We'll see which one they end up doing as we get ourselves into the beginning of this game. Svenskeren leashed for his red buff here. Unusual pathing we've seen several times now at Worlds. Junglers picking very different openings than we normally see in the regional leagues coming here at Worlds.
Well, just yesterday we actually saw Olaf starting blue side because that's the expected, and then you see the enemy jungler invade the red because you almost know the Olaf is going to start blue. So Svenskeren's trying to change the expectation, and when you do start red side, you get to do 1 more camp and then go immediately to blue, otherwise you run out of mana.
Yeah, definitely need that blue buff early, especially if your smite comes off cooldown. The little extra bonus you get from smiting the blue also makes your jungle path more sustainable rather. Bjergsen taking some early poke here. Crown is definitely one of the best Viktors in the world. He goes above and beyond in terms of what he can get out of the champion. When you see the damage per game numbers, he is much higher than the average Viktor.
And he's dodging so many of these time bombs as well. Finally gets a chunk of his health down this time, but definitely doing a very good job mechanically of predicting where Bjergsen's putting the spell down, running the other way, and letting it time out without him nearby.
Now, both teams have information what side the jungle started on because top laners came late to lane, missing HP. It could have been a fake leash, but these teams are operating under the assumption that both junglers were, at least for this period of time, centered in the bot side of the map.
Which, when Svenskeren starts running back towards top side, means DoubleLift and Biofrost need to get that ward in the river. I actually feel like it's potentially a little late where Biofrost was getting that ward, but they have it down now, and they're a little bit more safe.
And it's also very dangerous to ward Tribrush there against the RekSai. He could go for the double tunnel over. We'll look at that later as Svenskeren is approaching a pushing rumble.
Yeah, and right away, CuVee turns around and Sven says, okay, this was warded. He sees me. I know there's vision around this area and says, ooh, but look at this. Ambition hasn't taken his blue buff yet. Spots it. Is on top of a ward, though. Could get collapsed upon.
Yeah, this would be very dangerous for Svenskeren, but Hauntzer calls missing. It's still going to be dangerous.
Okay, dodges the first Phreak, but now getting slowed down by CuVee. Then flash knockup! That's not enough life for Svenskeren. First blood comes through for Ambition. Nicely played stop at the counter jungle.
And Jatt, this exactly echoes the point you were making earlier, how it's so important to have pushing lanes, because in between pushing lanes, you can invade. And right now, Hauntzer may not be safe.
He's so low. 300 HP, Ambition. There's the knockup. He pulls aggro. CuVee to follow up. The stun's going to get him to trade the kill, but it's still advantage Samsung Galaxy 2-1 with assists on both kills.
Exactly. It's a big advantage, too, because the wave is going to die to the turret, and Hauntzer is going to miss out on that experience. Not to mention, CuVee still got a kill, so it's not like Hauntzer is going to have any gold advantage in that lane. And as you mentioned, really a poor invade by Svenskeren. Yes, they thought RekSai might be bottom side, but they had their mid and their top lane pushed in, so that's not the time you want to be going for the invade.
And so at this exact moment that Svenskeren knows he's screwed up, so all he can do is maybe juke out. He's running a flashless jungler as well, ghost only. Gotta be bold move here now. Bjergsen!
Oh, he dodges the bombs! Crab with the chase! And a solo kill in the mid lane at level 5.
You miss your bombs on Zilean and you have nothing left. Crown steps forward where Bjergsen expected him to step back, takes a big risk in lane and falls.
Also the aggressive flash. Bombs are never guaranteed if the opponent wants to flash aggressively, and that is one of the weaknesses of Zilean. That's why generally you go for safety and wave push, and you always have to calculate the possibility of an aggressive flash here. Crowd completely changing the matchup. I'm sure Bjergsen actually has never played against a Viktor that is this practiced on the champion.
And Crown definitely wanted revenge for the last game when he played against Bjergsen Syndra and was down 46 CS at some point in the game. This time, gets the solo kill and a whole lot of revenge.
This means so much for TSM later on because, again, the crux of their composition was Svenskeren getting ahead, you know, hasting him into the team fight, maybe dropping some bombs on him, having him isolate the carries.
So the one advantage TSM does have is this bottom lane. You're seeing the fruits of it right now. A 9-ish minion lead right here for DoubleLift and Biofrost. They went for their most comfortable champions, their lane-dominant champions. The very beginning of the game went well for them. Of course, every other lane is losing and needs to somehow resuscitate themselves, but there is 1 point of pressure for TSM to the 3 points of pressure of Samsung.
And Samsung has been super good when they're ahead in games, especially in Korea and even in the group stage here. And not even with that, at Worlds, we see the early snowball often translate into victory. So it's still just 6 minutes in and the gold hasn't quite equalized yet, but there's a chance that Samsung can run away with this game since they have advantages in multiple solo lanes and they have this jungler who is ahead.
They have the advantage right now, going in, equalizer. Bit of a waste. I think Hauntzer is actually happy that tagged a few creeps too, so it's going to force the push. It's up to Ambition right now to move up. Crown has the push in mid, so they could technically go for a 3-man roam top.
See if they can, absolutely. Of course, with the Rumble ulti down, Hauntzer, though, is missing his own flash, which makes him a more diveable champion. Thankfully for Hauntzer, his Slicing Maelstrom is up, which will hurt the chance at diving. And now, finally, very late into the game, Ambition will take his first blue buff and probably hand it over to Crown, giving him even better pressure over the mid lane. There'll be another minute at least until Bjergsen can get his.
Yeah, and we talk about how the small early game leads can transition to bigger leads. A lot of that happens because they take control of the river. If you're thinking of just the fog of war that TSM can see right now, they see very little, which makes it incredibly hard to get a lead back. Whereas Samsung has a whole bunch of vision, so they can actually think about the plays they want to execute and then actually pull them off.
And look at that, Sven pushed out of his own jungle. He saw that CuVee was running out of the top lane after getting priority there. Again, we talked about winning lanes, helping your jungle counter jungle. Because CuVee's winning top lane, he gets to steal the red buff away from Svenskeren.
And this will be a true test for TSM because they'll need to be flexible because the game is not playing out the way they wanted. Bjergsen in week 1 was 5-1-5 combined 315.
They want to dive. They don't have the Rumble ultimate, though.
So with Bjergsen not actually getting ahead in this game and not being a point of pressure, TSM has to completely change the way they play around the map. Maybe actually start putting more focus on the bottom lane or put out a rotation here. Maybe Lucian goes top. They need to change up something.
Yeah. There's also the chance that they just try and farm this one out a little bit until they can try and get an objective fight because, yes, they did suffer deaths in both of their solo lanes, but they are staying even in CS and maybe just trying to slowly snowball the bottom side because for 3 kills to 1, it's still only an 800 gold advantage.
Right, exactly. The very first trade at the very top of the map, actually, you count all the kills overall, it should be a 1,050 gold lead for Samsung. First blood, assist gold, the math is that much, and the gold lead is less than that, meaning TSM are on average out farming. If this continues, the game gets maybe even a bit closer in gold, and the transition can happen later on.
They've definitely shown that they can play good team fights with that Zilean, catching teams off guard by the well-timed resurrections, you know, a couple zoning bombs placement, especially if they can posture around objectives. The threat of a almost turbo Olaf is really weird to play around, especially if you have such low mobility carries.
And oftentimes, watching where the vision is a better indicator of who is winning than the actual goal lead. And contrary to 3 minutes ago, where Samsung had almost all the river vision, TSM is starting to fight a little bit of it back. They got a ward over the wall, and they have some pink boards in river. Not to mention DoubleLift.
Love this play here from DoubleLift. The second the support leaves lane and you're playing Lucian, aggressive dash into Cullen gives you so much lane pressure. Yes, they may not be able to translate that into kill or chip damage, but now they have control to move into the river. Just like we were talking about earlier, vision control is step 1 into everything.
Exactly, and because they had the pink ward in the river, when Crown started to roam down bottom, TSM was able to ping it out and back away a little bit. But if they lose that control in the river, all of the harass is for naught because it means they can't safely push up without fearing death.
Well, but you talk about safe vision and pushing up successfully. Well, Ambition kind of wresting control back at this bottom side river, kills with a Scuttlecrab, has a ward, finds his pink as well, and Biofrost not going to push him off of it, so now it's darkness once again for TSM, and they can't play up as they were before.
Yeah, and that means there's a little bit of space in the lane, at least for Ruler to walk up. Again, CoreJJ, if he can use that Fog of War later on, he can path into different lanes and bring up his AD carry to the mid lane, so Bjergsen sometimes has to be careful as well if the bot lane suddenly disappears.
threat. Once again, Equalizer used pretty much on cooldown. It looks like CuVee says, I'm not going to get gank attention here. Kennen hard enough to dive. I'll just ult to zone you out. Maybe kill your pink ward. That kind of stuff is working out. Biofrost looking for a trade on a CoreJJ. Plenty of damage onto the Tahm Kench, then back onto Ruler. Nicely traded. Burns the exhaust, and Double gets rooted up now. Someone's got to take the curtain call. Biofrost walking into range. There's a flash. The chop comes in, and a nice flash to get out of range. CoreJJ overextended. What an outplay by TSM. Ruler forced to flash away, and now Bjergsen running for his life. Ambition looking for the knockup, can't quite get it, and TSM finally get a kill answered back.
What a huge outplay there by TSM, and very surprising that no one teleported to that fight because everyone else was skirmishing elsewhere on the map.
And Samsung Galaxy was definitely planning that move. They knew they had the back end of that trade locked down. CoreJJ sadly overextended a little bit, and it leaves Ruler exposed.
Why is Ruler staying under the turret? That's going to be a free kill picked up, perfectly executed by TSM. Biofrost pulls the aggro, and TSM are now winning the game.
And specifically with the supportive mid laner like Zilean, it is so critical that one of your damage dealers snowball. Not only does TSM get 2 kills, but they get them on the right person. 2 kills for W2D3 Lucian, plus the CS advantage, plus what should be the first turret goal if he stops trying to be greedy and deny all these minions. She just get it and go back.
They knew Viktor recalled. CoreJJ is here now. This is 650 gold to DoubleLift himself, 1,000 gold to the team. Big lead TSM.
Yeah, and it was a really beautiful trade. Look how CoreJJ steps into Karma Q here because he doesn't want Biofrost to cut off the exit path. Right then, after W's spells are on cooldown, they realize they actually have Curtain Call to do damage. So it's paramount to block. But if you're blocking that closely, it gives access to the Devour. But the Grey Health runs out right there. And suddenly CoreJJ is kind of surprised. Like, I thought I had way more health than this.
And also the timing almost worked out for them. If they were able to spit DoubleLift out of Tahm Kench as the final Jhin shot was going, he wouldn't have been able to flash backwards, but they messed up the timing.
And now you've got to fight in the top lane. Hauntzer versus CuVee, plenty of damage.
RekSai's here.
But here comes Ambition. The flash knockup, the flash run from Hauntzer, and there's the equalizer to get the kill back up. TSM losing one, Samsung Galaxy 4-3.
Definitely feels like Hauntzer got baited there. Really good play by CuVee and Ambition. Ambition, knowing there was a bunch of action bottom side, immediately tries to take control of the other side of the map. And CuVee, who had been kind of freely using his ultimate before, saves it for the last hit.
Yeah, he saves for the last hit. He kind of got surprised by overheating a little bit, got a little scared there, but in the end, hang on, Bjergsen, not again, right?
Not under that much threat. Pops the ult. He's going to walk in a turret range to get the revive.
Oh no!
He's not going to. Now
Biofrost shielded him, so he didn't pop the revive.
Kills him, and it's going to be Crown taking him out. Huge misplay by Bjergsen. Doesn't get the revive off, and now Samsung with control.
That was the misplay by Biofrost. DoubleLift was, Bjergsen ulted himself because there's no way Crown could stop the damage from his Chaos Storm for ticking, but Biofrost came in and shielded him so that ultimate didn't kill him. But now CoreJJ way out of position.
Rooted, caught out. He's going to go down.
Yeah,
another kill to DoubleLift.
Both these teams so smart sometimes in terms of cross-map and awareness of where people are on the map, and then suddenly they forget. CoreJJ just wanders into the mid lane, not aware of any enemy positioning right there. It started so well with Ambition in the top lane. That was a really smart cross-map play. Then Bjergsen pushing his limits on the Zilean, but Biofrost clearly wasn't ready to just let Bjergsen die there.
Oh, he moved! DoubleLift gave it away. He was antsy.
Yeah, and now Crown can also move towards this with a fully upgraded Hex score.
Smite fight. Ambition smites early, but Sven... No, actually, I can't tell. They both have a red buff. I think yeah, okay, it's a fresh red buff. Thank you, Observer. Sven with a recently refreshed red. Got the last hit despite the smite from Ambition.
And I think this game is at a really interesting point right now, because Crown can beat up on DoubleLift in team fights. Lucian is a shorter range AD carry, and in order to do damage, he has to get into combat range of the Viktor. So Crown is in a position to also carry this game.
But a good flank from Hauntzer or just a Bjergsen-Svenskeren combination can take down Crown. Once Svenskeren gets a little bit more tanking, gets access to some magic resistance, he can just run down Crown, force him to use all those abilities on the enemy jungler, and then DoubleLift can step into the fight.
There's also so much pressure on these teams right now, and you can see it in some of the plays. A lot of these guys have actually been going for the big play, which is why we've seen 9 kills in the first 14 minutes. Whether it's CoreJJ in the bottom lane flashing to eat DoubleLift, or Bjergsen in the mid lane being so aggressive and getting outplayed by Crown a couple of different times. you definitely tell these teams aren't hoping the game comes to them. They're trying to take it themselves.
Yeah, but Ambition is definitely staying even with Svenskeren. A level ahead right now. Svenskeren in week 1 was aggressively counter jungling with his team. He had 30% jungle proximity with Bjergsen because they were working together as a unit, consistently attacking the enemy jungler, but that has been thwarted both due to the early mistake from Bjergsen and Svenskeren being found out in his jungle a couple times by Ambition. So Samsung Galaxy having a much better performance here in week 2.
Close game. Only 1,300 gold apart. Here comes the play. Equalizer gets a little bit of damage on Hauntzer, but I feel like that could have been aimed better by CuVee.
The TSM was ready for this. They knew they disappeared, and the counter teleport comes out.
3 versus 3. How good is it going to be? Bjergsen is in. Doesn't get a stun just yet, but plenty of damage onto Ambition. Slicing Maelstrom comes through. They will kill off the RekSai. 1 for 0, and now DoubleLift versus Crown. Biofrost to help the calling. Knocks him down. Gets away from everything else. The shields get him away. 2 for 0 TSM with control over the top lane.
Yeah, massive exhaust from Biofrost delays the damage from Crown, and he drops before he can take out DoubleLift.
And also, Crown was trying to match Bjergsen up top lane, but they didn't account for the AD carry roam. Ruler was down bottom. He may get some turret pressure, but DoubleLift getting the shutdown onto Crown only catapults him further ahead of the rest of the game in gold pacing.
And in essence, this was a macro mistake from Samsung because they moved their support to the top lane, but bot tier 1 was already taken. It is so likely for bot lanes to switch up the side of the map that they're playing on, especially when they're playing with a hard CC in a top lane like a Kennen.
Exactly, and the mistake is that Samsung goes aggressive here in the first place while they're trying to freeze the bottom side. So TSM's actually very patient with the way they go here. They know Ambition doesn't have flash, but they don't want to engage all the way in on the turret. Meanwhile, they catch Crown in the roam with the shielding support so that he can actually one-shot the DoubleLift. And that's 4 kills for TSM right there.
That's TSM's strength as a team. They play the map as a unit. They look at all the resources available and they make the right map choice very often, whereas Samsung right now, they seem very divided. 4 people on the top side of the map looking for an aggressive play, while they still don't even have the pressure as a counterplay on the bot lane.
But this is the thing, is TSM won bot lane so hard that despite everyone else losing, they were able to kill the turret, shove the wave, get out of bot lane, and be on the other side of the map of Ruler, a guaranteed 5v4, and you saw the fruits of that.
I absolutely agree, and Samsung need to kind of take a breath, realize they have a scaling Viktor, realize the CuVee should be a little bit more patient with his Rumble ultimates. He seems to be wasting them in lane a fair bit, which has allowed Hauntzer to actually get ahead in CS and set up around a Drake. They have 2 incredibly high-impact mid-game AP power spikes right now with the Viktor and the Rumble. They should try and utilize that in my opinion.
And they have a lot of zone control in these champions, because imagine a world where Svenskeren kind of goes in for the rush, but an Equalizer cuts up the remaining support from the team, then suddenly Samsung Galaxy are in control of the team. But if they can set up first for an objective, they can punish you for walking in. Equalizer on one side, the Viktor's ultimate on the other side.
It's very scary. There is so much damage from the Samsung Galaxy lineup. Viktor and Rumble, 2 of the very best team fighters in League of Legends on their role. And these 5v5s are always going to be scary for TSM. As you're mentioning, Samsung Galaxy can always win these games if they play it right.
Ambition, though, walks over top of a pink ward when going for this invade. And at this point, TSM is closer to defending, so Svenskeren can finish that off. But I wanted to talk about DoubleLift being over 2,000 gold ahead of the opponent AD carry. And looking at Samsung's team composition, they don't have great backline access. So if DoubleLift is able to juke around and not get basically popped by a Crown Laser or baited into dashing forward, he will be an absolute force in this matchup. 7,600 gold already.
There's a minor point I want to bring up about DoubleLift. I love runes and masteries. He's only got 35 MR. He actually cut several magic resist glyphs for either attack speed or mana regen, which against double AP Rumble Viktor is actually going to be very scary. Right now, though, it's a battle for the red buff. Ambition, chomped up by CoreJJ, gets away. The Devour keeping him safe, but the bomb still blows up. Battle for the red buff, and Svenskeren steals his 2nd red in a row.
But to touch on that point, Phreak, it actually all ties in together because they won lane super hard, having slightly better trades. Forgiven is also an AD carry that will forego the magic resistance in lane and put it more into raw damage, hoping he can acquire more gold that way by getting 2v2 kills. This was DoubleLift and Biofrost's first 2v2 kill in the tournament, and they're showing that with a small advantage, they can actually snowball and become the pressure point for TSM.
As long as he can survive the team fights against Crown and CuVee. There's not the greatest hard engage on him, but the damage does exist. If he mispositions, he can get popped.
Yeah, and Hauntzer hears the RekSai, doesn't know where that tunnel is going to be, and he's already sitting at half health under his turret. Hauntzer is actually being fairly greedy just to clear that out until he sees the pink ward. Now he knows he's safe to recall.
Yeah, good job by TSM keeping wards up in their jungle. That's the 3rd pink ward there that's been killed, but they're keeping the vision. Now they walk right into Ambition. They predicted him being over there. They had the ward on the brush as well to jump in, and that's him taking several tunnels, and a flash to get away.
And they keep swapping sides here. They keep Samsung Galaxy on the back foot here. DoubleLift and Biofrost were bot lane, suddenly top lane. They surprised. If somebody goes for a dive, they could run into that Karma Lucian at any time.
Yeah, I will say, though, that's going to be the turret going over to Samsung, which is a bit of a gold return. And now will TSM be able to take advantage on the bottom side since they have the numbers advantage? Time to go.
You expect TSM to get top turret, but can they get more with their pressure? Svenskeren still looking for the bit of a chase. Ambition jumps over the wall, and they chase everyone out of the area. CuVee running down as well.
They trade an already chipped tower for top lane control, maybe getting access to that top tier 1, but they also get vision control here. And TSM has shown that they know exactly what to do once they get the deep vision into the enemy jungle.
Yeah, this play still is another minute in the making. Baron is alive right now. CuVee, though, burned Equalizer to kill the top lane wave, so this turret so far is unanswered. The wave coming in right now will be the one TSM kills the turret with, but gave a lot of time for Ruler and CoreJJ to run around the map.
Yeah, and a small criticism, TSM keep baiting on pink wards while walking back and forth against a RekSai, so it's kind of giving up the vision advantage they have on the pink.
And it's just a habit for pro players that are in a game to keep their mouse moving constantly because they want to be ready to make any split-second decision-making, like flash reactions. When they get surprised, they want to be ready, but it's such a bad habit to have when you're playing against a RekSai, and you never really see it happen. You never see a RekSai notice you. So you never kind of get mentally punished for that behavior.
We see the payoff actually not working out right now for TSM. It's only going to be vision because Ruler and CoreJJ able to roam up top in time again, thanks to CuVee's equalizer, cleared the wave that would have given them the turret kill, and it's just a 1-for-0 turret off TSM's rotation.
Yeah, 2-item spike right now on DoubleLift. He really wants to open that fight with a max range culling, wait for some cooldowns to get used, preferably by Crown, and then dash in aggressively, maybe relying on the revive if Svenskeren doesn't need it himself.
Yeah, and it is kind of on TSM to try and play around that DoubleLift power point. They had this setup in the bottom side, but their pink ward vision is lost. They backed away from the play because of a overactive mouse movement, pretty much. And now it's just DoubleLift alone up there, so a little bit of a stall almost until the mountain break spawns.
I like that they're willing to sacrifice some objectives to help a struggling laner out, though. Hauntzer was stuck under that top tower, and many teams would fall into the pit of like having to keep the tier 1 bot tower alive. And they actually go for a proactive play where they at least make sure that they defend Hauntzer from a dive and turn it into some aggressive vision, potentially with some bonus at the end in the pick, but they botched that one.
Yeah, and they're right back at it again. They see that Rumble is trying to push up on the other side. Svenskeren goes and acquires vision in the jungle, and they get it the second time around.
There we go, Dragon gone long enough. There's no worry about putting your lane assignments close to the Drake itself, and TSM do finally with their
teleport bot from Bjergsen.
Looking for a bit of a play onto CuVee, slicing Maelstrom, gets a bit of CC, can get the second stun. Once the Q comes back up from cooldown, gets that one. Here's the equalizer, looking for the chase down. Hauntzer running low on health, gets away from one of the bombs, and it's going to be the quick revive. Hauntzer will be fine. Bjergsen lands the time bomb. That should be the kill onto CuVee, and it is enough damage. The 1-for-0 off the teleport.
And once again, a little bit strange by TSM, actually. Hauntzer could have stayed on the equalizer and revived, but he ran off of it and didn't revive. Fight in the mid lane with 2 solo laners from TSM gone.
Svenskeren quite low, pops the ulti late. He's running out of health. The chase down, and a nice shot from Ruler. Now into Biofrost. One more shot will kill him. And DoubleLift does not even block the shot. Died to Crown anyway. Control of the mid lane, a 2-for-0 to Samsung, and that's going to be a very low, almost dead turret.
But it shows you the value of that 2-item spike on Viktor. Nobody can get out of that Chaos Storm because it applies continuous slow from the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and now Bjergsen way too far forward.
Overstepping, chased down by Ruler, and DoubleLift was exhausted. The chase, a couple more autos would kill him, but he does get out of range. TSM hemorrhaged 3 kills in a row.
And it kind of shows that Samsung Galaxy are no slouches to play against. If TSM overcommits, which they did on the bottom side of the map, Samsung will punish them, and then they overstay yet again. Hauntzer has teleport, but no ultimate, and they have no vision over this early Baron by Samsung.
They just found out with a boot trinket, but it seems too late for Hauntzer to react here. No ultimate, so he can't really do much, even if he teleports. And TSM, really bad read in that fight. They all tried to protect Svenskeren, and in doing so, they lost Biofrost, and then Bjergsen walked in later. I think the Rylai's Crystal Scepter pickup from Viktor this early in the game completely surprised them. Because look at how Svenskeren and Biofrost kind of hug each other, and they both get stuck into this fight.
And Sven takes so long to realize he should ult out of this one. He takes so much damage before he finally starts running away.
Yeah, and they'd use the Montrix shield very early, and at that point, Biofrost and DoubleLift actually just need to completely bail out on the play, but you can tell TSM was in a very defend-focused mentality, not thinking that Samsung would be able to make the play without the Rumble. But Crown is the guy with all the gold, and Jhin is always effective when he opens up with Curtain.
But at this point, why walk up here if you're Bjergsen and DoubleLift? Very odd for them.
That's the bigger mistake.
TSM is not used to playing from behind because they were smashing the league in summer all the time. But this mistake, you can't say that's not like not knowing how to play from behind. It's just simply walking up 2v4. Major blunder here from TSM.
Definitely agree. TSM now letting Samsung back into this one, and a great capitalization by the Korean squad just to keep everyone updated. These are two teams that are tied for first in the group right now at 2-1. This is an incredibly important game to make the quarterfinals, and Samsung Galaxy off some great plays in the mid lane, now up almost 1,000 gold, wearing a blue buff. Mount Drake going to be theirs as well, and are in the driver's seat.
And let's not even underestimate the effect of the combat stats Baron gives you this early on into the game. Yes, the gold is even, but Samsung is much more powerful right now. A basically uncontestable Drake for TSM, and they're going to struggle to wave clear this early in the game.
And this is also Samsung's wheelhouse. Svenskeren might actually have to burn ulti if he gets hit here. Good juke.
Ghost.
Gets away from the root that could have come out from Ruler, but still about half HP. And yeah, as you mentioned, missing a summoner spell now.
Samsung so comfortable. If they can go into any game, even in the mid game, they'll be happy because they're a mid to late game team. Really good shot calling, really good team fighting, and their composition is also built for this moment in the game. Both Rumble and Viktor are very strong at this point.
Incredibly so. We're seeing them try to siege the bottom lane, not getting a ton done. Bit of damage from DoubleLift, dodges away from the root, but really only makes Samsung walk away. But really, all TSM are looking to do is buy time until that Baron buff times out. Less than 2 minutes left on it, but look at this, the rotation to the mid lane. 3-member strong Samsung Galaxy gonna knock down mid lane tier 2 and bring that gold lead up to about 2,000.
And this is approaching the point of the game where Samsung is getting very comfortable from a historic perspective as well as a team composition perspective. TSM snowballed so many of their games and had the lowest average game time of teams at Worlds. But also, a composition with Zilean, Olaf, and Lucian is all about hitting the 2-item power spikes and then trying to run over the enemy team. Except as soon as TSM hit the 2-item power spikes, they were disjointed and gave up Baron. So Samsung's going to actually have this Baron throughout when TSM should be strongest and then actually have a gold lead after the fact.
Isn't pressed over. Here comes the attempt at a dive. Bomb goes off to the side, looking for Ambition. The root's going to land, but do they have the damage they need?
CuVee has no teleport.
Hauntzer coming in from the side, but he's going to get rooted, and that could be Hauntzer dying. Gets the revive, so he'll wait for a second. Ambition is dead, but here's the re-engage on towards Hauntzer. The snipe's going to land. Ruler getting a ton of damage, forcing the flash out. So far, it's just the 1-for-0, but Rumble is still pushing the top lane, and TSM could lose another turret. CoreJJ not getting hit by the culling bullets here for DoubleLift, and that means actually total gold up for Samsung Galaxy.
But this was a 5v4 here in the bot lane because CuVee already had top lane priority, which means Hauntzer teleported out of an already pushed lane. CuVee just takes a tower in the top lane, potentially chip the tower there in the base as well here, and it's becoming very rough for TSM because the teleport flank was the only way they could get out of this chokehold because Rumble is continuously beating Kennen in the side lane. The remaining 4 members were so much stronger here and successfully thwarted the engage here.
Yeah,
Samsung.
And that fight was also an example of why so many teams banned Viktor against Samsung. Crown has total command of that champion, and he solo defended Hauntzer's flank where it looked like he was going to be able to come in and clean up the fight. Landed the Rylai slow right away, almost killed Hauntzer and ended up prompting the ultimate from Bjergsen Zilean. So this guy, he is hard to deal with.
3,000 gold puts Samsung Galaxy ahead in this one. A nice gold lead to have, 28 minutes in. Certainly not insurmountable, but TSM have had a rough last 5 or so. We'll see if they can turn this back around. The occasional kill is not doing enough to keep them in this one.
And also what came with that push was just a wealth of deep vision here, top right side of the map here. So Samsung have so much information. They either see people on the right side of the map or they see them clearing minions. Or they know they have to be hiding in the top left side. So they know exactly where everybody's going to be, which means on this foundation, they can build more wards again if CoreJJ refreshes the side flow.
And here comes the play. Teleport coming in for CuVee. The team has got to run away. Svenskeren going to be in the front lines, takes the equalizer, and a flash by Biofrost to stay alive. Ambition takes this down, but he is very durable on this RekSai. Sven running out of health. The ulti from Jhin hitting Hauntzer a few more times, but the re-engage for DoubleLift. Half his health bar is down. Sven into the front lines. Stunned up, haunted around. Ambition still looking for a snipe. They can't quite get anything done for it. Just low health bars on both sides and a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, loving the little side steps here from Svenskeren. Really dodging those deadly flourishes.
And those bombs were nice, and Hauntzer was actually able to kind of stay in the bottom lane and get some farm, shove the lane back out. Samsung's wards will time out eventually, so a bit unfortunate for them to get nothing out of this. They lose the teleport cooldown, and then in about 2 minutes, Hauntzer will be the one with the TP advantage, and maybe TSM can make that flank play again.
Yeah, and right at the end there, you saw a missed opportunity by TSM. Those are the bombs that Bjergsen needs to be able to land. And these team fights themselves are very troubling for TSM because that was an ultimate that CuVee completely whiffed, and there was an opportunity, you think, to turn the fight around. But Crown casts one spell on DoubleLift, takes him to half health and eliminates him from the fight.
Yeah, that Viktor ultimate, once DoubleLift steps in too close for culling, obviously it hits Lucian with a couple of nerfs over time. Culling 1200 range right now, I believe. So Viktor can easily match that, walk forward, put a storm on DoubleLift's face, and he has to dash out then, so he can't even follow up on his own culling, making it very difficult for TSM to play this comp from behind. Went ahead, a Zilean kind of blitzkrieg comp is fantastic to play, but if you fall behind, there's very little defensive tools. The only really hard CC is centered on Hauntzer. He kind of just gets blown up if he engages, because he didn't build his own yet.
Exactly, he decided Proto Belt and Magic Resist was what he needed, and then he wanted the Void Staff to cut through some Magic Resist. If anything, he should have skipped the Void Staff for Zhonya's only because he can't get into this fight in this situation.
I think it's him building aggressively, hoping that Bjergsen's Chrono Shift is the defense that he needs. They hope it's only focused on one target, and they're building high damage to try to chip that one target out.
And TSM was hoping for a 32-minute victory. That's what their team composition was built around, but we're cresting over that point now, and Samsung, from a compositional perspective, gets much stronger from here on out.
The threat once again, look for the dive, and a beautiful equalizer across all of TSM. Svenskeren holding the front line with the Guardian Angel, and TSM stay alive. Now, how's the re-engage going to be? It's DoubleLift running out of health, and oh, already the Chrono Shift is burned. TSM going to have a miserable time in the next 5-on-5, which means Samsung runs right for Baron.
And because the Chrono Shift is down and DoubleLift is low, they can just take this Baron. This is actually a Baron that TSM shouldn't try and contest. They're expecting Samsung to do it. This could be real bad for TSM.
Sees a Tahm. Kench wards over the wall. Here comes the engage, the flash knock about a Biofrost, and TSM running out of health. That's already Guardian Angel down. Biofrost the first casualty of it, but nowhere for Sven to go. That's 2 for 0. Re-engage for Hauntzer. Damage on the Crown. Can't quite get the damage. He's gonna survive it, and even CuVee's gonna live. Well played by CoreJJ. No kills, but DoubleLift wants back in. These health bars are negative right now, but TSM cannot turn in any of the kills, and it's a 2 for 0 to Samsung.
If DoubleLift had vision there, he would have flashed E, double tapped in for a double kill, but he wasn't sure where they were exactly, and he's so afraid of engaging on this Viktor. TSM learned their lesson the hard way at the start of that entire phase. You can never contest a Viktor Rumble in a choke point.
Yeah, but what was nice is that Hauntzer was able to get a bunch of damage in after Samsung had burned most of their burst. So that's the situation in which not having the Zhonya's can actually be good. All told, though, it's a very positive play for Samsung. They get 2 kills and continue to have vision control of Baron. Plus, DoubleLift already low before this fight even starts.
He's a bit afraid of a Baron bait. They're going to run in and see, hey, it's Ambition right in the front. Another good equalizer, but it splits TSM for a few seconds. Hauntzer jumps over it. He'll stay alive, but half HP here on this Kennen.
Man, CoreJJ doing a good job on Tahm Kench, really devouring low HP targets or targets that are carrying a bomb, making sure they get dragged out of the fight.
Yeah, gotta say, beautiful stuff so far for Samsung Galaxy's Tahm Kench support player here, CoreJJ. Mid lane siege again is up, but Crown doing such a great job clearing the minions. No amazing turret damage to speak of here for TSM.
Yeah, and this is the breaking point of the game right now. Samsung can secure another Baron. I think they're scaling as well as their gold can take over. They also have vision control towards the Baron buff, so it's incredibly risky every time TSM steps forward.
They may have to fix the bot lane though, because that wave is stacking up and building pressure, and TSM get access in the shallow part of the river. That's enough usually to stop teams from completely starting naturally here, so we'll see a map reset. TSM gets Scuttle Grab too, so a breathing moment for TSM in the next 2 minutes.
Yep, and the Mountain Drake is live as well, which is great in the late game. You blitz down objectives. Samsung Galaxy already has 1. If they get 2, Baron dies in the blink of an eye later on in this game. Crown safely getting his own blue buff. CuVee had run down to that bottom lane wave. TSM were not able to punish that, or the fact that CuVee had no ultimate for the last 2 minutes.
And TSM's going all in on this Baron bait, because usually you would send your top laner to the bottom lane to already catch that wave that's being pushed in, but they're hard committing here, looking for a vision bait here. They know they're out of time here. Their composition is getting outscaled, so they're hard committing, hoping to find a way to trap Samsung Galaxy.
Now, Hauntzer does have Flash. He would need to be able to get onto Crown, who doesn't have Magic Resist or a QSS with no Mikhails or Cleanse on that team. That's the way they'd have to do this, because if Crown is untouched, he has so much zone control and presence on that Viktor. I don't see TSM winning the fight.
Yeah, and just like earlier, the second Ambition burrows, he gets all the information he needs, despite there being a complete lack of vision in the river.
Letting over the wards, those going to go down. TSM keeping this brush under control. You're seeing these two pink wards. Krepo, I know you love ward talk and Baron control. Those are two of the very important first step wards that keep everyone out of the river.
If there was no RekSai, this would be a fine bait, but it's just so easy for Ambition to get information. But right now,
he does. That's CoreJJ. Look at that. The stun doesn't matter. Spits him right back out. No big problem. The damage dealt, it doesn't stick to tanks like that. So TSM not getting anything for all their time. The minion waves go back and forth. Hauntzer gets the top lane. Bot lane is okay, I guess. TSM clear mid, and back up to the river they go.
It shows how clutch the Tahm Kench has been in this game for Samsung. Goal difference over time. It did seem like TSM was going to get that mid-game snowball at 23 minutes, but then Samsung made the macro play and now continue to have the control with this vision battle.
Yeah, because Samsung realized there was a massive bot wave a minute and a half ago, they sent CuVee to fix that, slow push that out. TSM did not preemptively send Hauntzer to kind of start dueling for minion control. He now has to catch that massive wave. The vision bait failed because yes, TSM had perfect vision, but they were playing against a very smart and slow Samsung Galaxy with a RekSai radar. And now Hauntzer has to catch this massive wave in the bot lane, which result in a free dragon again for Samsung Galaxy. So these guys are so solid when it comes to map play.
Exactly, and it's situations like this where you see more of the value of RekSai, because a lot of times you look at the scoreline or the damage or the teamfight impact and not see the whole picture. It's vision battles like this where RekSai actually has the most value.
It's so frustrating to play against RekSai because you want to tell your team to stand still, but standing still against the likes of a Viktor or a Rumble, if suddenly a blue orb falls out of the sky and you're all in that brush kind of frozen in place,
you lose the game.
Yeah, flash R from Viktor and it's over.
Well, Crown hoping to get that ultimate from the sky and maybe do all the damage he needs right now. Gets himself another blue buff. He's stolen that one away from Bjergsen, so it will be a lower mana Zilean, less cooldowns, less ability power. We'll see what the next play ends up being. TSM still trying to play for some of this Baron control, and to their credit, they've still got more of the vision there. It just doesn't seem to matter. They can't capitalize on it.
And they're still trying to play a dangerous game. Bjergsen is building towards Death Cap, no magic resist items. DoubleLift actually built an Infinity Edge on this Black Cleaver Lucian, when normally when they're ahead, he'll go a Bloodthirster for more durability.
Yeah.
He feels like he has to carry the game right now, but he's also up against a Viktor who can actually one-shot him right now. We mentioned he didn't bring magic resist runes. He's not building magic resist either, so it's a dangerous game.
It is.
It could be a change in TSM's approach, saying, you know what, we're no longer going to revive Svenskeren. He brings his own GA to the table. DoubleLift, we're looking for you to dash in aggressively, maybe over a skill shot, take out one of the targets, and then revive him and hope to win on the back end on the 5v4.
Yeah, and just now Hauntzer finishes his Zhonya's Hourglass, so theoretically all the good
like
targets can be controlled. That is the ulti down, and TSM able to kite back reasonably well. No more damage is going to come through. TSM may need to heal it up, but at least the curtain call is down, as so is Crown's ultimate.
But they took Crown out of the fight. Bjergsen could teleport back if something happened, but plays like that don't have the immediate payoff when TSM is behind like this, because they do not have the lead to just go and force Baron, especially against a Rumble.
You can definitely see how the Jhin and Viktor have a really unique combination there. The second Jhin ulti comes out, everybody likes bunching up to block bullets for each other, you know, spread out the damage, don't give access to the percent punish. But then the Viktor ultimate goes up in value, especially since it slows.
Yeah, slows help other skill shots land, which also slow, which helps the rest of the skill shots land. It's a nice, vicious cycle of OT or Samsung does a lot of damage. Ow, my face. And that's been the situation for TSM since minute 20 here, hoping to maybe get some control back. Looking at the mid lane, they've got the inside track, actually. And if they play it right, they can make this happen. Now Bjergsen is the one attack, getting away from the equalizer. The chase on a Biofrost is CuVee. That's the flash forced out. Now here's the teleport to join in Hauntzer in the back line, but gets exhausted. How much is the follow-up damage? Perfect shield from CoreJJ. That's going to be CuVee burning down. The chase in, and DoubleLift gets one. He gets two. He's looking for three, and Crown will keep his kingdom for now, but TSM with the 3-for-0.
DoubleLift!
Oh, and he gets deleted! Looks for the play, turns right back around on him. Samsung saving it with the big burst out of the mid laner.
He must have assumed that Crowd had to have used his ultimate already in this fight. It started so great because everything was right. Svenskeren has a GA, check. Hauntzer has TP flanked with Zhonya's, check. And DoubleLift was always surrounded by Bjergsen, which meant he could play super aggressively and rely on a frame-perfect Zilean revive.
Yep, they made the first 4 steps right and the 5th step wrong, but here the initiation doesn't quite catch on to TSM. We talked about the lack of backline access from Samsung, and they finally get the teleport engaged from Hauntzer. The Unburrow was early from Ambition. The exhaust does hit, but the CC lands, and Crown is zoned out of the fight, not to mention the patience from Bjergsen on his chrono shift.
And I'm going to want to see a Team 5 breakdown of this fight here because DoubleLift perfectly skirts around the edges of this fight here, just hitting whatever's in front, and then he knows once he dashes in, he has the backup from Bjergsen with the Zilean ultimate.
7-1-1. The scoreline here for DoubleLift. Infinity Edge, as you had mentioned before, came out 4th item. Now Quicksilver Sash. He is building to hard carry, to rely on his teammates to keep him alive. A Locket from Biofrost, the shields from Karma, the revive from Bjergsen, the haste as well. It's a level 18 Zilean now. DoubleLift is the damage source of TSM.
And Crown is also the damage source of Samsung Galaxy. He's also building to one-shot. That's going to turn into a Lich Bane.
Oh, wow.
When a Viktor hits that item threshold, I actually don't even think he cares about DoubleLift. He cares about Bjergsen, because he will be able to one-shot Bjergsen if he's able to get into Lich Bane range.
The second Crown sees a bomb animation, he's just going to flash forward, because one bomb he doesn't care about. It's only about the double stun. So if he actually flashes forward, then there's QER with the Lich Bane proc, it's just death.
Yep.
Bjergsen just dies on the spot, or has to ultimate himself in such a bad spot that Crown can follow up. TSM can't come into a fight because there's no flash on DoubleLift, no heal, and double aggressive summoners on Crown right now.
Yeah, and it's a lot of double-edged swords for these carries going so aggressive, because yes, Crown could do that, but he could also get caught by Hauntzer and completely killed with the low magic resist Viktor build.
Both teams just playing for minion wave control, using that to dictate map movements now into the front line. Hauntzer just getting rid of a tunnel, and both teams just getting rid of these poor hapless minions that just do not stand up to the might of these champions.
This is the first time in Worlds we've seen two teams so aggressively fight over these two brushes, because they know it's literally the first step to a Baron bait here. Despite Scuttlecraft being right there in front of them, they still bait aggressively and they still force vision out.
Biofrost gonna make Ambition go, but he's still gonna get rooted. Svenskeren gonna get hit up as well, pops the ulti. That's gonna be down for the rest of this fight though. Sven gonna be a slightly better target, but here comes Kurt Call looking for a DoubleLift. Plenty of damage here. Sven's gonna block him, but DoubleLift's running out of HP. Bjergsen flashes to rejoin his team, but he's at half health. This is Samsung Galaxy controlling now the map as they walk up to the mid lane.
Such nice use of Jhin right there, getting total control of not only the Baron area, but if they wanted the Elder Drake. Instead, they push mid lane knowing the TSM is segmented to the side of the map, and they get this turret.
It's a partial flank, but you've got Olaf and Kennen coming in from the lane itself. They're looking for a bit of a play. Sven slowed down, dodges the root,
No
but
ultimate
Hauntzer's
on
in the
Sven.
wings. Here comes the attempt at a fight. Jumps in. They look for Crown. Plenty of damage, and Hauntzer does not pop the Zodiac. He gets deleted. A 1-for-0 TSM missing their top laner.
And that's the burst that Samsung can bring to the table. That was mainly Ruler, I think, getting a 4th shot crit on a Hauntzer before he was able to pop his Zonias.
There was also a Q proc here and an E from Crown in there, not even having to use his ultimate. So quick on the target selection. Most teams flinch when they see a Kennen. Very few think about just one-shotting it.
Here comes the Baron steal attempt. Sven gonna get knocked around. 2,000 health left on Baron. They can finish during the Guardian Angel. Double fronts in. Gets revived, but the health bars are so low. Sven, what's he gonna choose? Is it Baron or is it the fight? DoubleLift gets the trade kill on a Crown. The Baron steal. No, it's gonna go to Samsung Galaxy, and they've got complete control. That's a dead Biofrost. The shutdown comes through to Ruler. It is 4 versus 1 with a Baron buff.
And in such a chaotic moment, Samsung focuses on exactly the right things. They burn the Guardian Angel. They immediately make sure the Crown is damaging DoubleLift, and they eliminate the damage sources before getting Baron.
Even little things, just waiting for the dash post-revive from DoubleLift. Crown held his laser until DoubleLift was already moved to a different location and then traded his life for him, and at that point, Samsung Galaxy had convincingly won the fight.
Now they're looking for the fruits of their labor. They've won the fight now for the spoils of war. Mid lane inhibitor gonna be theirs. Bot lane opened up as well. And Bjergsen's got a dodge away. The flash knockup, it forces his self-revive. The Chrono Shift gonna be on cooldown, and he's got nowhere to go. An easy kill to pick up. 5 kills in a row now for Samsung Galaxy. Hauntzer alone to defend. Looking for damage, picks off Ruler, and Crown's already dead. It's a 3 versus 1. Hauntzer loses his life, does not pop Zonia's there either to buy the time, but it does mean that bottom inhibitor is now open. That's gonna be grabbed. TSM do have their bot lane back up, and they're hoping for the big play. CoreJJ with a nice one. The attempted root, no, a flash away from CuVee keeps him alive. The haste back onto DoubleLift. Can he reach his target? And the answer is yes, he can. Samsung's top laner running for dear life. He is still going to drop down, and that is going to be some eventual time TSM have in a 5v4. Elder Dragon might just be the reward.
Man, what a series of events, and Samsung definitely have a stranglehold on this game right now. Such smart play around the Baron.
Yeah, just look at DoubleLift here. He wants to get into the fight here. Double crit onto Ruler, dashes in, gets popped. Good sidestep from Crown, and wait for Crown to hold his spells because he knows DoubleLift's going to use a dash somewhere. And DoubleLift goes out, he gets popped there immediately. The target selection from Samsung is really done as a unit. It's almost as if you're playing an RTS, not just 5 individual players here.
Just hit one, right-click the target, bam, drops down immediately. hotkey skills, all wonderful. TSM looking for the re-engage. 20 seconds on CuVee. No teleport
TSM
either.
trying to double teleport into this one because they have a temporary 5v4.
They've got to try. Here they are. Bjergsen's in with this, and TSM would love a 5v4 here. We'll see if it can happen. Svenskeren, plenty of XP. Hauntzer looking for the flank. This could be the fight that turns TSM back in on this one. CuVee is not even alive yet. Again, the 5v4. TSM need this to go right because they are losing their base to minions as we speak.
This is the type of play that can go down to a steal attempt, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
2,000 HP left on the Elder Dragon. Hauntzer still waiting for the flank play, looking for the damage, and it's going to be picked up by Ruler from Samsung Galaxy, but the fight begins anyway. Ruler down to half. CoreJJ a bit low. Not going to land it, but CuVee has joined the fight, and suddenly it's going pear-shaped for TSM. Hauntzer forced away. They just have not found the engage. They never pulled the trigger on the fight, and Samsung Galaxy walk away with the buff.
There was so much zone at the start from that perceived Kennen flank from Hauntzer, but he would never find a moment to pull the trigger. And right now, Galaxy's in the base.
Super Galaxy CuVee looking for this one, knocking down the first of the turrets, but no, Hauntzer gonna trade the kill on that one. 5v4, and ooh, that's Guardian Angel down for CoreJJ, but the turrets are dead, the inhibitors as well. DoubleLift gonna lose his life with impeccably bad timing as the chrono shift wore off, and it's now gonna be the Nexus, it's gonna be the game, and Samsung Galaxy gets revenge on TSM and holds on to first place for now.
They said it before the day, they must win against TSM and RNG, and this is exactly the way they want to start, evening the head-to-head against TSM and taking them down in the first game of the day.
3-1 now sits Samsung Galaxy. Every single game means so much. Royal might time them up in the next game, but
it doesn't matter for them because momentum is all they need today. All these teams will play 3 matches today, which means if you smash the first one in the fashion that they do right now, not really smash, but such a close, satisfying victory here for Samsung. Fell behind a couple of occasions, but always fought back. Impeccable macro overall, and has to feel so good for them.
Yeah, it starts them off on the right foot because the situation we're in this group coming into the day, when 3 teams were 2-1 and Splyce was 0-3, means that if you reach 4 wins, you're not going to be eliminated without a tiebreaker. So that also means the TSM is still alive if they win their next 2 games against Splyce and RNG. Yep. At the worst case, they'd be able to force a tiebreaker, but still, that was a very disappointing game for TSM, but a very promising game for Samsung, and an incredibly close one throughout.
It is exactly promising for Samsung. They beat Royal Never Give Up last week, and it actually looked pretty darn good. They won the early game and just crushed the game open. It's scary for TSM because they lost to Royal, right? So if the games go the way they did last week, Samsung looks amazing. They're looking to, clinch that top spot. They're looking to be another Korean team out of the group stage and sort of continue that dominance. And this is the team that people were saying, ooh, it shouldn't have been you. Samsung, it should have been KT Rolster. Ooh, I don't know if you really deserve to be here at Worlds. And well, now they're beating they beat TSM, who were kind of the favorites of the group. They already beat Royal last week. This looks to be another powerhouse team. And
their solo laners are stepping up. Even though you could question or maybe criticize some of the Rumble ultimates earlier, CuVee throughout the entirety of the game had side lane pressure, and it just meant so much more for Samsung. They had more options. TSM was kind of forced to move as 5, make something happen, and they really couldn't tie it all together. And Crown and the Viktor just was phenomenal.
Yeah, Crown was out of control on Viktor. I feel like there are questions about some of the champions he can play coming in here, but when he plays Viktor, he will show up. And this was almost a battle of both these teams getting a lot of the picks they want. Like, for instance, Hauntzer and CuVee. Hauntzer's played both sides of the Kennen Rumble matchup, and that's all 4 of his games at Worlds. Bjergsen hadn't lost on Zilean. He was 7-0 in the Summer Split plus playoffs. Could not deal with Crown's Viktor whatsoever. And even though DoubleLift's Lucian was insane, the Viktor was even stronger. DoubleLift didn't build much magic resist or lifesteal, and he just kept being unable to contribute in the end of fights.
3 out of the 5 of Samsung won their matchups, their respective lanes, the jungle, whatever you want to call it, and that came through. The teamwork was beautiful. Good job to Samsung Galaxy. And now, going to hand off the Shock, who's standing by with their hard carries.